What if a single sip could begin to open your arteries within hours? It sounds like something from a late-night commercial. Another miracle promise, another exaggeration. But this is not hype. This is about a molecule your body already produces, a molecule so powerful that when its levels rise, your blood vessels relax, blood flows more freely, and the pressure on your heart begins to ease. That molecule is nitric oxide. When nitric oxide increases, arteries widen. Circulation improves. Your heart does not have to strain as hard to push blood through narrow pathways. This is not a drug. It is not an expensive supplement. It is a specific combination of everyday foods that activates a biological pathway your body was designed to use. The real question is this: if you could support your arteries naturally, would you? Because preventing a heart attack does not start in the emergency room. It starts here. A heart attack does not come out of nowhere. It is the final scene in a story that has been unfolding quietly for years. It begins with low-grade inflammation inside the inner lining of your arteries. That delicate lining, called the endothelium, is meant to be smooth and responsive. When inflammation lingers, tiny injuries appear. The surface becomes less flexible, less protective. Over time, cholesterol particles and cellular debris begin to stick. Plaque slowly forms. The channel narrows. Blood still flows, but not as easily, not as cleanly. Then one day a small clot forms on top of that unstable plaque. If it blocks the artery completely, oxygen can no longer reach the heart muscle or the brain. That is when the emergency happens. So prevention is not about one dramatic moment. It is about influencing the entire cascade. You have to support vessel flexibility, calm chronic inflammation, slow the buildup that makes arteries fragile, not one lever. The whole system. This is where beetroot enters the picture. Beets are naturally rich in dietary nitrates. Not synthetic chemicals, not additives. Compounds that plants create on their own. Once you consume them, your body begins a quiet transformation. Those nitrates are converted into nitric oxide through a series of enzymatic steps that involve your saliva and your blood vessels. And when nitric oxide rises, the smooth muscle in your vessel walls relaxes. The artery widens. Blood moves with less resistance. Pressure against the vessel wall decreases. Your heart does not have to push as hard to circulate oxygen. Several clinical studies suggest this effect can begin within a few hours after consumption. Think of it as restoring flexibility to a stiffened hose. Not forcing the system, simply allowing it to open the way it was designed to. This is the first lever in the cascade. Support the vessel's ability to relax, and everything downstream improves. Relaxing the artery is only part of the story. A vessel can widen. But if the inner lining is damaged, the risk remains. That inner lining, the endothelium, is constantly exposed to oxidative stress. Free radicals circulate in the bloodstream, especially in environments shaped by poor diet, chronic stress, or metabolic imbalance. Over time, that stress weakens the surface of the artery. It becomes less smooth, less resilient, more vulnerable to buildup. This is where pomegranate becomes powerful. Pomegranate is rich in polyphenols, particularly punicolagens and anthocyanins. These compounds help neutralize oxidative stress and support endothelial function. Long-term studies suggest that regular consumption may slow the progression of arterial thickening and help maintain healthier vessel walls. If beetroot helps the artery open, pomegranate helps protect the surface that keeps blood flowing cleanly. It is not just about widening the pipe. It is about preventing corrosion from within. This is the second lever. Preserve the integrity of the lining, and you reduce the foundation upon which plaque forms. Beetroot helps vessels open. Pomegranate helps protect their surface. Now we look at flow itself. Ginger may seem simple, just a root in your kitchen. but biologically, it acts more like a regulator than a spice. Compounds such as gingerols and shogols support circulation by influencing vascular tone and helping blood move more efficiently through peripheral vessels. It does not force dramatic changes. It fine-tunes the system. Some evidence suggests ginger may contribute to modest improvements in blood pressure and overall vascular responsiveness. That matters more than most people realize. Even small reductions in long-term pressure can translate into meaningful decreases in stroke risk over time. Think of ginger as the stabilizer, not the headline ingredient, but the element that helps the entire system operate more smoothly. When flexibility and protection are already in place, stability becomes the difference between strain and balance. Even when circulation improves and the vessel lining is protected, one silent force can still undermine everything. Chronic inflammation. Not the kind you feel as pain. The quiet, persistent signaling inside the arterial wall that slowly weakens structural stability. Over time, this low-grade inflammation makes plaque more fragile. And fragile plaque is dangerous plaque. Turmeric contains curcumin, a compound studied for its ability to modulate inflammatory pathways at the molecular level. The challenge is absorption. On its own, curcumin passes through the body inefficiently. Black pepper changes that. Its active compound, piperine, significantly enhances curcumin bioavailability, allowing more of it to enter the bloodstream and reach tissues where it matters. Together, they work beneath the surface. Not just calming symptoms, but supporting the deeper architecture of the vessel wall. If earlier steps help the artery open and remain smooth, this step helps it remain stable. Protection is no longer just external. It becomes structural. By now, we have addressed flexibility, protection, stability, and structural strength. But there is one more layer that often goes unnoticed: the internal environment in which all of this takes place. Black seed oil, derived from Nigella sativa, contains a compound called thymoquinone. This compound has been studied for its ability to influence oxidative balance and inflammatory signaling at a cellular level. Not dramatically, not overnight, but consistently. Black seed oil appears to support endothelial cell health and may contribute to healthier blood pressure regulation over time. Think of it as optimizing the terrain rather than targeting a single pathway. It does not replace the earlier steps. It reinforces them. When vascular tone, surface integrity, and structural stability are already supported, a balanced internal environment allows those benefits to last. This is not about intensity. It is about resilience. And resilience is what determines whether a vessel withstands stress or fails under it. Now let's bring everything together in a way that is simple and practical. Take one small beet. Add half a cup of fresh pomegranate seeds or about 100 milliliters of pure pomegranate juice with no added sugar. Cut a small piece of fresh ginger about 3 centimeters. Add half a teaspoon of turmeric powder, a small pinch of black pepper, and 1 teaspoon of high-quality black seed oil. Blend until smooth. If it feels too thick, add a little water. Drink it fresh, ideally in the morning before your first meal. This is not a miracle in a glass. It is a way of supporting vessel flexibility, reducing background inflammatory stress, and strengthening the internal environment over time. Small biological shifts, repeated daily, compound into meaningful protection. There is no food that can guarantee you will never face a heart attack. And there is no single drink that overrides years of neglect overnight. But biology responds to patterns. When your vessels are supported instead of strained, when your internal environment favors balance instead of chronic stress, when daily inputs align with how your body is designed to function, risk begins to shift, not dramatically in a day, but measurably over time. A heart attack is rarely a random event. It is the end result of a biological environment that has been allowed to deteriorate. Change the environment and you change the trajectory. You do not need perfection, you need consistency. And that choice does not start in an emergency room. It starts with what you decide to do tomorrow morning.